Jeremy Corbyn faced rapidly mounting pressure to back the new vote on Brexit today as 71 of his MPs broke ranks to endorse the People's Vote campaign. In defiance of party policy, more than 40 MPs posed on the steps of Parliament to call for Labour to immediately back the new referendum. A no-confidence motion in the Prime Minister tabled by Mr Corbyn is expected to fail tonight, and the MPs want it to the point Labour changes tack. Official policy is to pursue a general election and Mr Corbyn's vision of Brexit with support for a referendum contingent on those proving to be impossible. To the frustration of Remain supporting Labour MPs, senior Labour figures have said they are ready to table repeated no-confidence challenges to Mrs May if tonight's vote does not succeed in ousting her. Senior backbencher Louise Ellman said today Mr Corbyn should act immediately to throw Labour's weight behind a second referendum if Wednesday's vote failed. "We've got the no-confidence motion today," said the Liverpool Riverside MP. "If that doesn't carry, Jeremy should immediately call for a second referendum and start taking the moves to make that happen. We shouldn't have any further delay. The clock is ticking. It's just over 70 days to go before we actually leave the EU. We can't afford to do that, so Jeremy must act now." Tottenham MP David Lammy told BBC Radio 4's Today programme it was time for Mr Corbyn to move, warning, "If he vacillates and sits on the fence, I'm afraid he is going to get splinters in places he doesn't want." Share this article. Share. There is definitely momentum with members of Parliament who now see that this is stuck in our Parliament and think he should put it back to the British people. Among signatories to the letter were MPs from Leave and Remain backing constituencies from all parts of Britain, including the party's former acting leader Dame Margaret Beckett, ex-ministers like Ben Bradshaw and Chris Bryant, and former leadership contender Owen Smith. Today's rally outside Parliament was led by Labour MP Bridget Phillipson. Pictured today, organisers said a further 24 Labour MPs had made public statements supporting a second referendum, bringing the total to almost 100. On the morning after the historic defeat of Mrs May's withdrawal agreement in the House of Commons, around 45 of them gathered outside Parliament to display a banner reading, "Labour MPs, MEPs, conference, and members agree the people should have the final say." Bridget Phillipson said she recognised the anger about the state of the country which lay behind the 60% Leave vote in her Horton and Sunderland South constituency. But she said it would be much harder for Labour to achieve its goals of ending austerity, reducing child poverty and helping working people if the UK left the EU. In a statement, the MPs and MEPs said, "We must try and remove this government from office as soon as possible. But the removal of the government and pushing for a general election may prove impossible, so we must join trade unions, our members and a majority of our constituents by then unequivocally backing the only logical option to help our country move forward, putting the decision back to the people for a final say in a public vote, with the option to stay and keep the deal that we have." The statement said the UK was in an unprecedented and perilous moment in our history and accused Prime Minister Theresa May of running down the clock on Brexit in a way that amounted to gambling with the jobs and livelihoods of our constituents. "We now face a moment of national crisis, where the facts and the views of many people have changed and are continuing to change," they said. It is now clear renegotiation is not a realistic prospect. No deal would be a catastrophe which we must resolutely oppose. The government should seek an extension to Article 50 to provide time for Parliament to find a way forward. They were harangued by pro-Brexit protester Colin Grostate from Ramsgate, who brandished a Conservative Party membership card as he loudly accused them of being liars. Dressed in a yellow high-visibility jacket bearing the slogan "Clean Brexit, No Deal," he confronted Mitcham and Morden MP Siobhan McDonough, telling her, "I'm just a little man on the side with a vote which you don't care about. I don't want a second vote." Ticket barriers at Westminster's Underground station were plastered with adverts from second referendum campaigners, reading "The only way forward is a people's vote." Apostrophe.